Three takeaways from Atlanta United's 2-1 win over Orlando City at Interco Stadium in Orlando. Sydney and Henry with you. Gosh, Henry, what a match. Orlando looked to have leveled the match in the 90th minute through Duncan McGuire. After a check of VAR, it is taken off the board. Atlanta go on to win. Charlotte beats DC 3-0. Cincinnati beats Philadelphia 2-1. And Atlanta United are the 9th seed in the MLS Cup Playoffs. They will take on CF Montreal Tuesday in Montreal. Gosh, what a night.
Yeah, it was hectic. And I think I saw Mike Conti's tweet. There was like a 10% chance of Atlanta making the playoffs. And at the beginning of the night, things weren't looking good.
Yeah.
I mean, only Atlanta's result was going their way. Philadelphia had started off early, beating Cincinnati. Montreal was up like 2-0 on NYCFC. It was like, okay, this isn't really going anywhere good. And then things just started, the tide started turning. And, I think 30 minutes before full time was when, everything lined up perfectly. And we were in that like, oh my gosh, there's a chance. But then again, it's half an hour.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of time for something to screw up. And I feel like if that goal had stood for Orlando, I would have been like, that's the season for you.
Right, exactly.
That's literally been the story of this season. It's
exactly.
Okay, hope, crashing back down.
Yeah. 100%.
Right near the end. And we'll talk about that goal in a minute, but yeah, just a hectic night. And obviously, I mean, I was on like MLS coverage, doing stuff for MLS in Spanish. So I was slipping through all the games and watching all the goals as they came in.
Right.
And, it was just a crazy night up until the final whistle.
So let's start off with, takeaway number one, Atlanta United's hot start. I mean, I talked about it on Scarves and Spikes, the podcast the other day. Atlanta United just needed to get that first goal to put Orlando City under duress early on. And not only that, they got the first goal, really well taken goal by Saba, but they got the second. Jamal Tiare, right place, right time to go up 2-0. And all of a sudden, Orlando is kind of not in the driver's seat anymore. At their own stadium, looking to continue their strong run of form that they've been on in Atlanta, the protagonist early on. Things kind of slipped a little bit. Hayda scoring, of course, for Orlando, and then McGuire scoring, goal taken off the board. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But Atlanta with a strong start on the road and really setting the tone for what was a 3-point night for them ultimately.
It was a little surprising to me that Atlanta was able to get off to the start that it did, because this was a game that Orlando was motivated to win for several reasons. I mean, first of all, it's a rivalry game. Orlando always loves the chance to, beat Atlanta, and this meant eliminating them from the playoffs. Even if you didn't beat them, even if you just drew to Atlanta, like that was elimination. That was game over. Secondly, Orlando was still trying to secure the fourth place spot. They were battling over that with NYCFC. And it wasn't until like NYCFC was down like 2-0 by Montreal that it kind of became apparent that they had secured that. But going in, I mean, you have that motivation. And it was a full strength Orlando lineup too. So, I mean, kudos to just the players, because this was effort. This was they wanted it, and you could tell, especially at full time, just seeing the faces and the reactions and the celebrations from the Atlanta United players. The one that sticks with me is Saba, because you could see him with like his hands on his head, like, oh my gosh, we actually did it.
Yeah,
and everyone was so hyped, and so no, I'm like really happy for them, obviously, and. It's huge. Hopefully they can ride that momentum into Tuesday.
And again, that doesn't happen, right, without that quick start. Those two goals that they scored in the first half to, again, put Orlando really under the gun. Just a little housekeeping. Orlando did end up clinching the fourth spot in the East by virtue of New York City's loss here on Decision Day. So Orlando are locked in at 4th. They'll take on Charlotte in the first round. So a little bit of housekeeping there.
Sydney, one quick
Yes.
thing I wanted to mention that I forgot. I went off topic totally, but we were talking about the quick start. Atlanta United never really starts off games that quick.
I know.
Like this season, that's an
Yeah.
anomaly for
Yeah.
this team. And the goals always come in late. There's like there's rarely a time when they score the one goal quickly,
Right.
let alone two within I think 15 minutes. It was that was impressive to me, and on the road, mind you.
Yeah. On the road, absolutely. So, I mean, just again, they did what they needed to do, and like you said, it's a credit to their quality in the moment, and the credit to their mindset. To yes, Ojeda scored, yes, McGuire scored, but it's a credit to them after McGuire that goal is taken off the board to not concede again, and potentially see their playoff hopes evaporate. Let's go to that goal that was taken off. I'll really, like we said, gutsy call to disallow that goal by VAR. And we talked about it beforehand. I'm of the impression, and this is just me talking, that it's kind of harsh. But we were just talking about it earlier. Bobby Wood has a similar goal disallowed for New England, this season. It came out of his hand, and the argument was, what is Bobby Wood supposed to do in that moment? And the goal's ultimately disallowed. I kind of felt like it was the same thing with Duncan McGuire. His arm is just right there, and the ball hits off his arm. In the moment, you're obviously thinking, "Oh my gosh, Atlanta have conceded. Here we go. It's over," like he said. But then referee goes to the monitor, VAR takes another look at it and says, "You know what? That's no goal." And it's just, again, a massive call that it could have very well gone against Atlanta in that moment. The goal could have stood very well, but again, just a massive, massive landmine dodge by Atlanta United, and it was really the turning point, not just of the match, but of the season, I think.
It's a controversial point for sure, and I was. I'm in my MLS and Spanish group chat, and people are like, "Oh my gosh, VAR is a farce! Like, what is this? That's never a handball." And then you go on Twitter.
As a neutral, I've been like, how's that being taken off?
Yeah, no, like originally when I saw it, I'm like, I don't see anything wrong with it. And then you look at the replay and you start thinking, okay, maybe I'm still doubtful. There is one angle though that I saw where you could really see it go off his, like, it goes off his arm. But then the question is like, okay, does he move the arm? Is it really like in an unnatural position? And I think at this point, you don't really know what a handball is anymore.
It's like a catch in the NFL. What's a catch in the NFL? It's sort of the same thing.
No one knows. Handball has become even harder to define than the offside rule at this point. So it's weird to me, and ultimately I think it's a matter of consistency. Like we just mentioned, that goal, the Bobby Wood goal, it was actually tonight. They were playing Inter Miami, and that goal got called off. Bobby Wood had his arm like right here, and it bounced off his arm when it was like right on his chest, right? Like if his arm isn't there, it's going to hit his chest. It's not like his arm is moving or anything, but they still called it off because of that. And I think if you're going to call that a handball, then I guess Duncan McGuire's has to be a handball when his arm is actually further away from his chest than sorry, I'm blanking. Bobby Wood, his hand was. So I don't know. It's just weird. And I think you have to figure out what a handball is first before you can start saying, okay, yeah, this qualifies as a handball. This doesn't. This is too close to the body. It's too close to the chest. Whatever. It's difficult to say that at the moment because there's so many interpretations of the rule. So
kind of 2 points to that. Number one, ended up being inconsequential for Bobby Wood and the Reds because they just got steamrolled by Miami. And congrats to Miami, by the way, for clinching the points record. But number two, I imagine that'll continue to be a massive topic of discussion among players, among the league. Okay, what is a handball? What is not a stonewall definition of it, but what are the guardrails of handballs? It helped Atlanta. It didn't really hurt Orlando as much. I mean, essentially just window dressing. But I would imagine if the shoe was on the other foot and Orlando were fighting for a playoff spot themselves and they needed a draw to advance and this goal had been taken off and their season would have ended. So perspective means a lot in this case. And from an Atlanta standpoint, of course, it's the best thing in the world. And I'm sure fans won't have any complaints about VAR for a while, but it's still a very big call. And I'd love to hear what, Andrew Wiebe has to say on MLS Instant Replay and, the other experts in that field to kind of talk about whether that was justified to call a handball. But takeaway number 3, Atlanta United in the playoffs. And right now, that's all that matters. I tweeted it out. Just enjoy the ride. I mean, at this point, it's gravy. You obviously hope you beat Montreal on Tuesday in Montreal. But after that, it's gravy. Even if you win, even if you go out against Miami, it's gravy.
You're playing with house money.
Yeah, that's better to be here. It's house money, yeah.
Like,
just enjoy it.
You defied all the odds to get to this moment. Just enjoy it, man. Just be happy that you made the playoffs, that you didn't, because before this, you were like, one season playoffs, next season no playoffs. One season playoffs, next season no playoffs. And so at this point, you've broken it. You've been in the playoffs 2 consecutive seasons.
Yeah.
Are you necessarily going to make a run this time? Probably not, but who knows? I mean, you've got Montreal, a team that's beaten you twice this season. You're going on the road. So I don't know if you can carry the momentum, make something happen, maybe. After that, you have Miami. Good luck.
Yeah. Well, a couple things. That revenge factor will definitely be in Atlanta United's mind because, like you said, Montreal has beaten them twice this season. So maybe that's something else that they're carrying into Tuesday, along with that momentum. If you beat Montreal, you at least come away knowing that, hey, you've beaten Miami on the road, you've thrown them at home. You can probably give yourself maybe half a chance to take care of Miami. That being said, it is still Miami, and this is a very lethal team in the attack.
I'll remind you, Sydney, Atlanta United is the only team this season that has gotten 4 points from Inter Miami.
No, absolutely. So that's something that they can carry into that series, but I mean, none of it matters. They have to beat Montreal. And considering, like you said, the momentum coming into this match on Tuesday, yeah, it's a weeknight, and yeah, it'll be on the road, but stranger things have happened. They just beat Orlando at their own place. Now, again, what if we see from this team? They tend to play down to their competition. And Derek Williams has said in the locker room, maybe we play better against better opponents because, we aren't that good ourselves. But, I mean, it's essentially a wash at this point. Atlanta can't go in thinking that, hey, they're better than anyone in this tournament. I mean, they're the ninth seed for crying out loud. So they have to have this even consistent effort in every single match that they end up in, whether it's just one match against Montreal, whether it's against Miami, the best of 3, where you'll be an underdog. You'll be an underdog the rest of the way. But like I said, just enjoy the ride. Whatever happens, happens. If you go out against Montreal, you know what? You at least got there in the first place. If you do meet Montreal, it's, like you said, house money. No one's expecting you to do much. And, every stage you get through is a step further than people thought you'd take. So they're in again, and let's be happy that they're in, and let's just tackle the off-season chatter when it comes.
Yeah, have at it, Rob Valentino. Yeah. I'm glad that this is the way the season ended for him, right? Because it was his goal, right? You pick up the team at a pretty low point, at a crappy point. And you manage to end this season on a high. Not that it's over, but you managed to beat the odds. You're into the playoffs. You gave the fans at least that. And really just seeing some of the videos at full time and seeing some of the tweets, just his reaction and the players feeling it, and Rob just super, super excited and happy with them. And also the quotes. I saw something, I think Doug tweeted out that Rob actually didn't know that Atlanta was on the verge of qualifying until like 6 minutes before the end of the game.
Yeah.
And he didn't want to tell the players, obviously, because you don't want to
the anti-Berhalter.
Yeah, because it's you don't play for a draw, man. You don't play for those results, and I think it's better that way. Just not knowing what you need, just knowing, okay, I got to win. That's all I got to do.
Yeah.
And for Atlanta, that's it. Like that's literally your one objective is just win.
Yeah.
And that's all you have to be concerned about. And we've said that before, right? Like the DC game, the Montreal game, the Philadelphia game, like those are things you can't control. Worry about what you can control. They did that. They got the job done. Let's be happy about that, guys.
Yeah. Atlanta United 2, Orlando City 1 at Entering Stadium in Orlando, Florida. Tuesday night, wildcard match, 8 versus 9, CF Montreal versus Atlanta United at Stade Saputo. ScarvesandSpikes.com, all the coverage there, here on YouTube, MLS Monday, our previews, and all of that good stuff. Stick around, stay tuned to the website. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. Like and subscribe on YouTube. Sydney Henry with you, and we will see you next time. So long.
Bye, guys.